as the producers and writers were seeing, how we were connecting on screen and what was working and stuff, that's where they started putting Josh and I more in sketches together where our characters would feed off of each other. And there was this one episode where Josh and I have to fight over a shrimp.
Okay.
So there was this episode of Drake and Josh with a shrimp where we had to fight over a shrimp. And all it said was, in the script, Drake and Josh fight over shrimp. There was no dialogue.
That was the only instruction.
That's it. And what it was Josh and I are walking down the street, and a shrimp, just flies and lands in front of us on the ground.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and I go, hey, a shrimp. And they're like, oh, I want it. No, I want it. No, I want it. No, I want it. And we start fighting over the shrimp. And that's when one of the producers leaned over to the other producer and said, hey, that'd be a good show.
Yeah.
What about these guys? And Nickelodeon at the time was looking for some sort of buddy comedy.
So that was like the eureka moment.
Yeah, exactly. That spot.
Yeah.
That's why at the very end of Drake and Josh,
yeah, I was gonna connect it with that. Yeah,
we fight over a shrimp, and that's the last thing we do on Drake and Josh is fight over the jumbo shrimp that Megan brings into our bedroom.
So it's like a poetic edit. Yeah,
exactly. It was a throwback kind of thing.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so that's how it kind of developed, and we ended up getting Drake and Josh, and the network didn't want to do it. The network picked us up for, they wanted to do a Little Romeo.
But the season of the Amanda Show ended, the second season.
Yes.
And they didn't renew it.
They didn't renew
but
it. No, we only did 2
something
seasons.
With you two
with
guys?
me and Josh, yeah. They only did 2 seasons of Amanda Show. Amanda Show got canceled, and then they came to us right before the Amanda Show was getting canceled. They came to us and said, hey, do you guys want to do a show that's you guys? We'll come up with some concept where maybe you guys are brothers or friends or, whatever. And obviously, that's the dream. That's the dream, to have your own show. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. This would be great. Let's do it. And so we started shooting Drake and Josh.
You didn't have to make an audition. They were like,
no. It was called Drake and Josh. So
and the decision of calling you Drake Parker and not Drake Bell, was it something that you were involved in the decision making, or?
No, that was just the producers. That was just the writers. But no, it was when they first pitched us the show. They're like, we want to use your guys' real first names, but we'll come up with different last names, and you'll be fictitious characters, but we'll use your real names. And
yeah,
because they did the same thing with Keenan and Kel, where Keenan, they used their real names.
Oh, that's right.
And so they kind of used that same blueprint. And then we started shooting, and we shot a pilot, which is basically the first episode, and then you send it to the network, and the network decides whether or not to pick up the show. And a year went by, which is not normal.
A year went by since when?
Since shooting the pilot.
The pilot.
To see if the network wanted to pick it up.
The pilot aired?
No, the pilot never aired. Okay. We reshot the pilot as the first episode. But when we shot the pilot, the network just sat on it, kept not answering, kept saying, no, we want to pick up these other shows. We don't really see this as being successful. And so the network took a year to finally come back and say, okay, we'll pick up the show, but only for 6 episodes. And so usually an order would be for, 13 episodes. And they came back and ordered half a season. And so that was kind of like, just always having to prove ourselves. We had to okay, we've got to prove that this show's going to be great and funny. And then we shot the first 6 episodes. And then it took a long time in between there.
What did you, in the year before, in between you shot the pilot and you shooting the first 6 episodes, what happened with you in that year? You were auditioning.
I was auditioning.
Commercials.
I was doing the same thing. Going back to auditioning and trying to find work and crossing my fingers, hoping that they'd pick up the show. But yeah, we were pretty much just waiting, and trying to find work. But then they picked us up for 6 episodes. We did the 6 episodes, and then they took for a really long time to come back and pick us up for our second season, which they finally ordered 13 episodes. And then
what was your gut feeling when you shot the 6 episodes? Do you thought it was gonna work or not?
I mean, I thought I was having a blast. I thought it was the greatest show ever. I mean, I just loved it. I thought it was really funny. I loved working, because growing up, I grew up on buddy comedies. I grew up on loving all of these, guys who work together, like Bing Crosby and Bob Hope and Abbott and Costello and Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor and John Candy and Steve Martin, and those are the people and Keenan and Kel and all of these people who were straight man, funny man. And so when I got the opportunity to do something like Drake and Josh, I mean, it blew my mind. It was like it was a dream come true. It was getting to do something that I had wanted to do my whole life. I was like 15, but at that point, I wanted to do. That's really that's what I wanted to do. It was really incredible.
How different did you feel that you were? What was the difference between you and your character? Do you feel like a big gap between them? Because there's instances where people play certain characters that are complete opposites. But in your case, my appreciation is that you're not that different. Like, for example, we talked about Jason Alexander a couple of minutes ago. His character, according to Curb Your Enthusiasm, was the complete opposite of him.
He's completely different. I mean, he's not anything like the character on Seinfeld.
But in your case?
Yeah, I think it was kind of an exaggerated version of myself. I mean, I wasn't that, I couldn't go up to a girl and be like, "What, Drake, you just met her. How are you already kissing? I bought her a soda." Like, I wasn't like that.
It was like you on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, being a singer-songwriter, guitar player.
You actually started your music career in Drake and Josh, like in 2005, no?
Yeah, I was doing music before. Like, for example, on the Amanda Show, I'd performed some songs, and I'd gone on to All That and guested on there. But I was doing everything always independently. I hadn't gotten signed or anything. And when I started doing Drake and Josh, that's when they asked, do you want to be a musician, or what do you want to do? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, Drake's got to be a guitar player,